Today I'm going to walk you through how I divided 6 perennials and ended up with the 31 that you see right here in front of me. I've got a couple irises. These are both the same one. This is called Purring Tiger, and I got a new vintage violet. It is really windy. New vintage violet and moonshine yarrow. These are both plants that we have in the garden right now, but I wanted to get more of these. These irises are new. I don't know what they're going to look like, but I got it because we have an orange cat, so I liked the Purring Tiger aspect. And I also have these 2 plants from the garden that I love. This one is a carex. I think it's called white icicles. I have the label for it somewhere. And then that one is a type of veronica. I'm not sure what it is, but it has really sky blue flowers, which are really hard to find anywhere. It's almost like Himalayan poppy blue. So I want to make sure to get more of those. So today I'm going to use this vegetable bed, which I don't think I've used for vegetables at all yet. It's pretty shaded, like it gets afternoon sun, but it's pretty shaded. And so far I've been using it for holding over perennials that I don't have planted yet. So you can see over here I have 2 honeysuckle vines and I have some trees at the end of the bed here. So I'm going to divide these up and I'm going to plant them in this bed. And this is kind of ideal for these because, first of all, they're in the soil, which usually when I divide perennials, I put them right into pots. And then I have to make sure to keep those watered, and it gets really hot really easily. So I end up losing probably like at least 25% of what I divide. So instead in here, they'll have access to more nutrients. I don't have to worry about fertilizing them all the time, and they're going to be getting better water. I have a couple different tools here that I'm going to use to kind of saw them apart. I'll probably trim them back a little bit. And then I just have labels to at least keep track of the yarrow. The other ones are pretty obvious. So my goal is to get them divided up at least into as many pieces as I can. I think the irises, I'm probably only going to get 2 pieces out of these. And the yarrow, I'm absolutely not sure about what the yarrow is going to do yet, or these 2. I haven't divided any of these before, so we'll see. But yeah, my goal is to get some more out of this. I'll probably leave them in here for about a month before we put them out into the flower bed. And then by then I'll have new perennials that I'll either have bought or want to divide. So here it is in the pot. This is a Siberian iris. So let me just see if I can do the tag right there. And just take a look at the roots on the bottom. So I don't see any wireworms in this one, which is good. We have wireworms here in the soil all over the property. So that's just something we have to deal with. And then what I'm looking for when I'm dividing is just like a natural gap in the plant right here. I have one on this side. I don't have one on the other. So what I'm going to do is just kind of take this, I don't know what this is called. Maybe it's a hori knife, but it's got serrations on one side and it's smooth on the other. And I'm going to take the serrated side and saw through the root ball right here until I can get the point of the blade in, and I'm going to pry it apart. Okay, so I'm just going to go through this natural gap right here and saw down for a bit. Is this one flatter? No, that one's curvier. This is what I'm using though. It's got serrations on one side and a flat blade on the other. So this one is slightly flatter, so it's a little less apt to wind away. So I just kind of want to get in there until I can start to pry it apart, because I'm always going to be gentler than the knife, obviously. But there's going to be some plant carnage. That's fine. You can start to see how this plant works. There's like a dead inside in there, and then if you look at the top of the plant here, this plant, it grows out. So the inside, whenever you see the inside of a Siberian iris die back like this, you need to divide it anyway, but it grows from the inside out into a ring. So take a look in here, you can see it's starting to break away. And then I'm just going to cut this off. Just like that. And we have one section of iris right there. So I'm just putting that in my tray. I don't want these to be sitting out in the wind with their roots exposed like this, so I'm just going to plant them here along the edge. So I'm just planting them at the same level that they were in the pot. And these don't have to be very far apart. I'm pretty much imagining them in like 4 to 6 inch pots. So that's the kind of spacing I'm giving them. That's what I would grow them on in if I was potting them up. So this is the moonshine yarrow, and we'll put a picture of the tag up on the screen so you can see that. Come on. Wow, those roots. If I was just going to plant this out, I would break up these roots a little bit, but I'm going to be doing plenty of that. So the same thing that I did on the iris, I'm going to try to do here. So again, what I'm looking for is a natural place where this divides. Now what I don't know is how it divides, because I haven't divided, well, maybe I've divided yarrow, I don't remember. But I can see that it has the old stalks from last year. That's this growth right here. And then it has the new growth coming off of those. So I'm going to try to get right down the center of this one and try to break this apart into two. So let me show you where I've gotten to here. I've just been going slowly, like one knife stroke at a time, just to where it's naturally coming apart. So like that just naturally came apart right there. Pull that off. And you can see I have this little clump of yarrow right there, which is perfect. So I'm gonna get at least 2 or 3 more chunks out of this one. And these I'm gonna need to plant right away, because you can see they're already kind of flagging in this high wind. So I'm going to lay those down in the tray, and I'll get those in as soon as I can. I didn't know it was going to be so windy today. Oh, there, I got it. Okay. So I have 4 of the moonshine. Oops. Okay, second row done. So I'm just going to breeze through the rest of these because the process is exactly the same. I'm just going to look for the natural place where they're dividing and then just go slowly. The knives are helpful, but it's actually really helpful just to pry it apart with your hands because you get more leverage, but also you're doing less damage to the roots if you can kind of pry it apart. So this grass, this carex, we didn't realize that it's evergreen. I mean, it's looking a little rough at this point, but it grows in shade underneath our rhododendrons and it's evergreen. This damage is just the snow melted and then we got a hard freeze. So that's what happened there. So let's see what we can get out of this. Okay, it's looking a little bit better. So this carex has these little flower stalks right here. Let's see if I can put my hand behind that. So this isn't the ideal time to divide this. You don't generally want to divide perennials when they're blooming, but this is the time that I have to divide it. It's more an issue with like flowering perennials. Like if this was blooming, you can still divide it. You just have to cut everything back. Also, this one divides by runners. So you see right down here, there's this runner coming off of here. So if I let this in where it was at, it will spread by runners. But also, since I'm growing this in the vegetable garden, I need to make sure to get all those runners out of here when I go to take it out. It's gonna go straight down the middle and see what happens. Boy, this thing is tough. There we go. I need like a proper saw, like a carpentry saw. You can use that too if you have that, an old carpentry saw. Saw through big perennials. I have all these pieces here. Actually, this one has a little, I'm gonna plant that one and just see what happens. It's got little runners at the base. It's probably not gonna root, but there's no harm in trying to get something to root. There we go. So grasses are really woody at the base, which is usually why you would cut through this with a shovel, but I'm not using a shovel, so. All right, I'm gonna try to break this into two. There's a little set right there. There we go. So that's 4 from that half, and I still have another half to go. Okay. I'm gonna combine one of them. Alright, so next up is the new vintage violet yarrow. So I'm doing the same thing, just looking for a natural divide, and I got one right there. So you can see I'm just kind of splitting it. And just, once you get started, it's just about finding the next place, the next best place to go. That was super simple. That never happens. That was great. Okay. 1/2 of it at a time, and I think I can do at least 3 or 4. This one isn't really root bound. I think that's why it was so simple. You can see in there, it's not too much. Most of the roots are on the outside. So this is that probably means this is another perennial. It's gonna die from the center and then grow outwards. There we go. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Yeah, 5 out of 1/2. So a little bit like this that just broke off, I stripped off the lower leaves here, and then I can just plant this straight in the ground as a cutting. And I'm gonna cut each one of the leaves that's up here to half, so it's not taking away all of the water from the plant. And then this should grow roots in a couple weeks. There we go. That's a decent chunk. I think some of them are even still attached. Oof. Okay, so there we have it. I got 31 plants plus what will be a bunch of cuttings. I got some of the cuttings still to do in this jug here from 6 perennials. So that's pretty awesome. That was better than I thought I was going to do. I thought I was going to do like 2 to 4 per each, but you can see I've got, especially for everything besides the irises, I've got a lot for these. The only other step now is to water these in and to keep them pretty well watered. So I'm going to water them at least once a week, especially if we don't have rain. And anytime they look like they're wilting a little bit, so like this yarrow is wilting a lot, I'm going to make sure to come out here and water those. So I'll do that right now. Okay, so I have these pieces that came off of the veronica that I was planting, and they have the green flexible stem, and then they've got a little bit of the root base down here. And these have dried out a little more than I would like. If you're gonna do cuttings, you should take the cutting and then put it right into a plastic bag, but it was not my plan to take cuttings. So I don't have that, but that's okay. So I'm just gonna do the best I can with these. I don't know that they're gonna root, but we'll try it. So I'm just removing the lower leaves, and then roots can sprout from any of these leaf bases too. And then up here, I'm gonna cut the leaves in half. So they still have some green to photosynthesize, but they're not gonna be losing as much water. And I'm just gonna take a label, and then I'm gonna go right down along the inside of the pot. So right along the side. That's gonna allow for better drainage when I water these, because these do not want to be sitting in water, but they want to stay moist. So I'm just going to go down like that, and I'm just going to push the soil up around it. And I'll do the same with this one. I'll just show you again. I'm just cutting off these lower leaves. And then we have the stem, and then a little bit of the base that was underground, so the roots. I'm actually just going to cut that and freshen up that cut a little bit. And then I'm going to take off half the top growth. Let's get that out of there. And then right along the side, let's make like a little gap with this label. And then put it right down in there. And then firm that around there. I managed to get, this is the second pot of cuttings that I'm doing right now. So I'm going to take these inside, and I'm going to put them under the grow lights, like where we have the tomatoes and things. And I'm just going to put a plastic bag, like a sandwich bag, just open, and I'm just going to put it over the top of the pot like a greenhouse, just to keep the moisture in here. And I'm just going to make sure that they stay moist. I don't want them to wilt too badly. They might wilt a little bit, especially after their treatment today, but I don't want them to really wilt too much. And then I'm going to leave them in this pot, and I'm going to wait. Let me just get this one in here one sec. So I have 3 that are around the edge of this pot. I think the other pot, I'll show you when we go inside. I think it's got like 8 or so around the edge. But I'm going to leave them in this pot until I see roots coming out of the bottom. And I'm not going to take them out before I see that. And then I'm going to be able to just dump the pot out and then separate each individual plant, and then these will get potted on. So they'll get potted back into the same size pot. This is a 4-inch pot, and then I'll grow those on for the rest of the summer. And then if they can't go out by August, which around here that's like my cutoff date for when I plant things out, if they can't go out by August, then I'll let them hold over in the garden here. I'll just dig the pot into the ground like this and just pile the soil around the pot just to insulate it a little bit, and they'll be fine to wait until next spring to go out. So let's head inside and I'll show you where we're putting these. Okay, so I managed to get 31 plants plus the 2 pots of cuttings that we put inside under the lights. And I'm pleased with that. I think these are all gonna look fantastic. I cannot wait to get these into the ground. I'm probably gonna leave them here in this bed at least for a month, maybe a month and a half. It is right around the 1st of May, right? That's this week. So the 1st of May is this week. So I'm gonna leave them here at least until June. I'm gonna make sure to keep them watered. And I mean, the yarrow is all gonna wilt right now because of all this fresh new growth, but I'm going to make sure to come out here and water them anytime they start looking a little bit droopy, but they're gonna look like that. They need a minute to recover from all the shock they just got. And they should root in perfectly fine right here. And then I'm just going to dig these up just like I would be taking out the plants from a pot. And then they're gonna be put out into the flower bed that we're gonna make. Probably coming up in the next month or so, we'll make that. And these plants will go out into there. So I hope you guys like that. If you have any questions about dividing perennials or taking cuttings, be sure to leave those down in the comments below. We also have a quick guide on composting that we'll also link to down below. And the other thing I might do with these is just mulch around them with compost, just to make sure they're getting some good food. So that's it for today. I will see you guys next week. Bye.